Have you ever helped someone and they didn't even say thank you? Have you ever given your time, your energy, even your money, only for people to ask for more? And have you ever been so kind, so generous, so available that people slowly started using you? If you have, then listen carefully, because there is a painful truth that many kind people discover far too late in life. Being a good person does not always protect you. Sometimes it slowly destroys you. You say yes when every part of you wants to say no. You help even when you're tired, stressed, and overwhelmed. You give your energy away until there's nothing left inside you. And what happens in return? People don't always respect your kindness. Some appreciate it, but many exploit it. And the cruelest part? The moment you finally say no, the moment you finally protect your time and your peace, suddenly people say things like, "You've changed. You're selfish now. You're not the nice person you used to be." But what if the real problem was never your kindness? What if the real problem was that your kindness had no boundaries? Today, I want to tell you a powerful story about a man who learned this lesson the hard way. A man who gave everything to everyone until he had nothing left. And the shocking truth he discovered changed his life forever. Many years ago, in a peaceful countryside village surrounded by green fields and winding rivers, there lived a man named Thomas. Thomas was known by everyone as the kindest man in the entire village. He had gentle eyes, a warm smile, and a heart that seemed incapable of refusing anyone. If someone needed help carrying heavy sacks of grain, Thomas was there. If a neighbor's roof was broken after a storm, Thomas climbed up and fixed it. If someone needed money for a small problem, Thomas quietly lent it without hesitation. And if someone needed a listening ear during a difficult day, Thomas would sit beside them for hours. The villagers often praised him. "Thomas is such a wonderful man. Thomas has the biggest heart in this village. Thomas is always there when someone needs help." Hearing these words made Thomas feel proud. He believed that his kindness made him valuable. He believed it made people respect him. But slowly, something began to change. At night, when Thomas returned home after helping everyone all day, he felt strangely empty. His body felt tired. His mind felt heavy. And sometimes, lying alone in his small wooden house, he would stare at the ceiling and whisper quietly, "Why do I feel so exhausted when I'm only trying to do good?" One bright morning, Thomas heard a knock at his door. When he opened it, he saw his neighbor, Mr. Harrison, standing outside. "Thomas," Mr. Harrison said cheerfully, "my roof is leaking again. Can you help me fix it today?" Thomas had planned to rest that day. His back still hurt from repairing another neighbor's barn the day before. But looking at Mr. Harrison's hopeful face, Thomas sighed softly and said, "Of course, I'll come right away." Under the blazing afternoon sun, Thomas spent the entire day repairing the roof. His hands became blistered. Sweat soaked his clothes. By evening, his arms trembled from exhaustion. Finally, the roof was finished. Thomas climbed down and wiped the sweat from his face. Mr. Harrison looked at the roof, nodded once, and said casually, "Good work, Thomas." Then he added, "Next week I'll need help fixing my fence too." And with that, he walked away. No thank you, no offer to help Thomas in return, just another request. That night, Thomas lay in bed staring into the darkness. His body ached, but his heart ached even more. Why does it feel like no matter how much I do, it's never enough? A few days later, Thomas's longtime friend Robert came to visit. "Thomas," Robert said with a worried voice, "I'm in a bit of trouble. Could you lend me 50 coins? I promise I'll repay you next month." Thomas hesitated. He had lent Robert money before, 3 times in fact, and each time the money had never returned. But Thomas didn't want to seem rude or untrustworthy, so he reached into his drawer and gave Robert the coins. "Thank you, Thomas," Robert said quickly, grabbing the money. 2 months passed. Robert never mentioned the money again. Finally, one afternoon, Thomas gathered the courage to ask, "Robert, about the money I lent you." Robert's expression suddenly hardened. "What money?" "The 50 coins." Robert frowned. "Thomas, I thought we were friends." "Friends don't keep track of things like that."
Thomas felt something painful twist inside his chest. He had given freely, and now, somehow, he was the one being made to feel guilty. Not long after, the village gathered in the town square for a meeting. They were discussing the construction of a new well that everyone could use. When the question of who would build it came up, the villagers began whispering. Then someone said confidently, "Thomas will do it." Heads nodded around the crowd. Yes, Thomas is good at that. He's always willing to help. Thomas can handle it. No one asked Thomas. No one offered to help him. They had already decided Thomas would build the well alone. In that moment, something inside him finally broke. He realized a painful truth. His kindness had slowly turned into an expectation, and expectations turned into exploitation. That evening, Thomas sat by the river outside the village. The water flowed quietly under the fading orange sky. He felt defeated. That's when an old traveling merchant approached him and sat beside him. The merchant studied Thomas's face for a moment. Then he said gently, "You look like a man who gives everything but receives very little." Thomas looked at him in surprise. "How did you know?" The old man smiled. "I've seen many people like you, good people who confuse kindness with sacrifice." Thomas sighed deeply. "I just want to help people. Isn't that the right thing to do?" The merchant nodded slowly. "Yes, helping people is good, but helping everyone all the time without limits is not kindness. It's self-destruction." Thomas frowned. "What do you mean?" The merchant leaned closer. "When you say yes to every request, your yes loses its value. When you're always available, people stop respecting your time. And when you never say no, people stop respecting you." Thomas felt those words strike something deep inside him. "So what should I do?" he asked quietly. The merchant looked into his eyes and said something Thomas would never forget. "Be kind, but be wise. Give your help, but choose who deserves it. Your kindness is a gift. Don't waste it on people who treat it like an endless supply." The next morning, there was another knock at Thomas's door. It was Mr. Harrison again. "Thomas," he said loudly, "ready to fix my fence today?" Thomas paused. His heart beat faster. For years, his answer had always been the same. But this time, something was different. He took a slow breath. Then he said calmly, "No." Mr. Harrison blinked in disbelief. "What?" "I'm tired," Thomas replied gently. "My body needs rest. You'll need to find someone else." Mr. Harrison's face flushed with anger. "I can't believe this. You've changed." Thomas nodded slightly. "Yes, I have." And he closed the door. His hands trembled, but for the first time in years, Thomas felt free. Soon after, Robert came asking for money again. This time, Thomas simply smiled and said, "No." Robert's face twisted with annoyance. "You're not the generous man you used to be." Thomas replied calmly, "No, I'm just no longer generous with people who take advantage of it." Word spread quickly through the village. Many people whispered that Thomas had become cold. Others said he had become proud. But something interesting happened over the following weeks. People began treating him differently. They asked instead of demanding. They offered help in return. They said thank you. And one day, a young farmer named Daniel approached Thomas. "Thomas," he said respectfully, "I heard you're good at building. I need help with my barn, but I'll pay you and I'll help you with anything you need." Thomas looked at the young farmer carefully. In Daniel's eyes, he saw something he had rarely seen before: respect. Thomas smiled warmly. "All right," he said, "let's build it together." Months later, the traveling merchant returned to the village. He found Thomas sitting peacefully by the same river, but this time, Thomas looked different, stronger, calmer, happier. "You've changed," the merchant said with a knowing smile. Thomas nodded. "I have. I used to think kindness meant giving everything to everyone, but now I understand something deeper." "What is that?" the merchant asked. Thomas looked toward the wide open sky. "Real kindness needs wisdom. It means helping the right people at the right time in the right way, and protecting your own peace while doing it." The merchant smiled proudly. "Then you have learned the lesson most people never learn." The final message is this. If you're listening to this story today, and you're someone who always says yes, someone who always helps, someone who always gives, then remember this. Your kindness is not a weakness, but kindness without boundaries will slowly drain your life away. You are not selfish for protecting your time. You are not rude for refusing people who only appear when they need something. One person who respects your kindness is worth more than 100 people who take advantage of it. So be kind, but also be wise, because kindness with wisdom is one of the most powerful forces in the world. And that is the real lesson behind this story. Stop helping others until you learn who truly deserves your help.